Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to have a look at game 9 from the World Chess Championship between Liren and Gukesh Dommaraju. So here in game 9 actually Gukesh plays white and he starts off with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and then we have Gukesh opts for the Catalan, which is g3. Now if we know about Catalan, obviously is a very slow moving game. White will fianchetto the bishop and it's a very slow game. However, Ding actually has played the Catalan before and he's quite familiar with this, I would say. So here Ding plays bishop b4 and then after bishop d2 and then here we have bishop e7. Bishop retreats to e7. You might be thinking, why did black initially play check and then once it is defended goes back to e7 instead of going to e7 directly? The whole idea is if you go to e7 directly, now this is probably a continuation that is possible, and here it's white who will be able to fianchetto their bishop by playing b3 and fianchetto the bishop to b2. So that was the idea if that was check was not available. But however, in this position, after a check, defense, and then bishop goes, now obviously white has to come back and then fianchetto the bishop this way, so they will be losing moves here. However, after white fianchetto the bishop on g2, d5, and then we have knight f3, castles, and then we have c6, the famous pawn structure. Black is pretty solid here, and after queen c2 we have knight bd7. This is obviously a Bogo Indian setup, probably a retreat variation, and we have rook g1, rook d1. b6 was played and bishop c3. Ding plays bishop b7 and secures the diagonal. So knight bd2, queen c7. If you will notice in this variation, obviously there are pretty much very little imbalances after all the pieces are developed. There's very little imbalances for both sides, so pretty much it's going to be a very concrete and positional game. Now b4 was played. The whole idea of b4 is to actually trap this bishop. For example, if here black plays a6, then you can play c5 when they push the pawn, and as you can see, all of a sudden black's bishop will be trapped. So that's the whole idea of playing b4. And once b4 was played, Ding was very careful. He plays c5, trying to activate this bishop. The pawn captures on c5, pawn captures on c5, and then we have queen b2. All of a sudden now we have empty file which both sides will try to take control of. Knight b6 and queen a5 and bishop a5, pinning the knight to the queen. D takes c4 first, knight takes c4, and this d takes c4 move is very interesting because it actually gives Gukesh the liberty to bring their knight to c4. And here bishop takes f3 was played. Now you had to be very careful. You cannot capture the bishop immediately. If you do so, black will be in quite a bit of trouble. So the continuation will be knight takes c4, attacking the queen. At the same time, white is actually attacking black's queen as well. So first white takes the queen, knight takes the queen, and here we have rook d2. Knight retreats and we have bishop takes the rook. Rook takes the bishop, and after d takes c4, knight takes c5, and this is somewhat favorable for black because black has 4 pieces here to white's 3 pieces, and this is somewhat favorable for black. So going back to this position here, after the bishop takes, you pretty much have to take the knight first, and once it's captured with the pawn, that's when you capture the bishop. Rook a6 was played. Obviously now there's a bit of pressure on the a2 pawn Queen b5, rook first takes the pawn, and then here knight takes the other pawn on b6. Queen a7, queen retreats to b1, and then we have rook b8 pinning the knight to the queen. D takes c5, and here this knight is about to fall now. Queen b5, bishop takes c5, and here the queen simply takes on c5. Queen here, both queens are exchanged, and after that rook c6 was played. Black takes the rook, and officially this is now a theoretical draw. The game continued more. Again, if you are not familiar with the rules, you cannot agree to a draw unless it's 3-4 repetition in the World Championship until you reach move 40. So now it's move 28, so they cannot agree to a draw. They continue playing the game, and here rook b2 was played, attacking the pawn, king f1 defending it, and then we have king g7, h3, h5, rook a1. Here rook c2 attacking the bishop. Bishop moves away and again attacks the bishop by playing rook c4. Bishop moves again, and then we have knight d7, f4, g takes f4, g takes f4, and we have rook c3. Here after the king moves, knight c5, and here king e3, and then the knight takes the bishop. And as all of a sudden, as you can see, Gukesh has 3 isolated pawns against Ding. Now this is still a theoretical draw, and if you would like to get something from this match, I would suggest, why don't you set this up on the board against a computer, and then try to play against a computer. This is theoretical a draw, but still people can make mistakes. So try to play this, set this up and play against the computer and see how we come up with it. So the game continued with rook c2, king goes to f3, rook attacks the d3 pawn, white defends it, and after that king f3 was played. Rook b3, f6 was played. So there's pretty much no moves on white is actually tied to the defense of this pawn on d3. King moves forward, and now rook a5, white gives a check. King has obviously a block was played by playing e5, f takes e5, and here rook takes d3 first check, and when the king moves, rook took the h3 pawn. So actually Ding is actually up a pawn, but it's still not a big issue. First Gukesh takes the pawn on f6. After the king takes the pawn, this is still a theoretical draw. The main reason for that is this is an h pawn, a corner pawn, which is very hard to promote. Even with the rooks on, all white has to do is simply cut off the king from advancing, and here the king will be able to look after the pawn and the rook. That's exactly what Gukesh does. Plays king f2, h4, and then we have king g2, rook h3 giving a check, and then king moves to h2, king here moves to g6, rook b5. Again we are having control of the 5th rank. Here Ding offers an exchange of rooks, but it's still not enough because the whole point is an h pawn, and also white king controls the corner square, and there's no way black can win this. It eventually ended up this way. After all pieces were traded, this ended up as a draw. This is actually both players had an accuracy of over 99%, or pretty much close to a perfect game. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more videos like this, please like and subscribe, and it's bye for now.